Welcome to MetroConnect. This is going to be our tour of Shelby Bottoms Park and Greenway. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Jennifer Westerholm. I work for the Department of General Services in our Division of Sustainability. And today we're going to explore virtually one of the really cool green spaces within our city. So we're going to meet for 1 hour. Going to start with some introductions, some small group breakouts. We'll have a video tour and then some live question and answer with our tour guide, as well as a quiz. So make sure that you are paying attention and encourage you to participate. We'll have a pretty small group today, so feel free to chat and ask questions and participate in all aspects. And when you're not speaking, if you will mute yourself so we don't have background noise, that would be great. We love to see your face if you got a camera. If you have any technical questions, you can text Michelle. Michelle, do you want to wave? There's Michelle. She is also with General Services and she can help answer technical questions if you're having issues, and her number is in the chat. So with that, let's get started. Okay. So, MetroConnect 2021, we are here to engage Metro employees, connect you across departments and divisions, and showcase some of our city's most exciting, innovative, and sustainable assets, programs, and facilities. So, as we discussed for a smooth virtual tour, if you can keep your video on, please do. Mute yourself when you're not speaking and participate by using the chat, asking questions during Q&A. You can unmute for that, and taking the quiz. And please note this event is being recorded, so your colleagues who couldn't make it today will be able to watch it at a later date. MetroConnect is brought to you by Metro Department of General Services, Human Resources, and our program that I run is called Socket. This is Socket the dog that you see here, our mascot, and so we're happy to bring you this program. This is our 4th year. So a little bit about Shelby Park and Bottoms. The Park and Greenway is one of the city's largest and best used green spaces. It has a varied environment featuring bottomland hardwood forests, open fields, and wetlands, accessible by over 9 miles of paved greenway trail that runs along the Cumberland River in East Nashville. It is a true oasis right next to downtown, right in our city center. And our esteemed tour guide today is John Michael Cassidy. He is the manager at the Shelby Bottoms Nature Center, which is part of Metro Nashville's Parks and Recreation Department. John Michael has a master's in education and geography, and he has over 9 years of experience with nature centers and outdoor rec. He's a native Nashvilleian from 37211, and he loves to connect people of all ages to the natural world, especially through direct outdoor experiences. So we've already had 2 in-person tours where we biked through Shelby Bottoms on the Greenway. And so I know John Michael does a lot of in-person outreach through the Nature Center, so check that out too. It's awesome in a virtual setting, but it's even cooler in person. So with that, without further ado, we are going to go into our video. This is a video that John Michael and I pre-recorded with help from Metro Nashville Network. They did a fabulous job with recording the video, drone footage. You're going to see it's really beautiful. So we're so grateful to them. And just grateful to John Michael and Parks for taking the time to participate. While you're watching the video, feel free to make comments. It makes it fun. If you notice something really neat and you want to comment on it, you know, something beautiful, or if you have a question that pops up in your head while you're watching, feel free to include that in the chat. And then after the video, we are going to have the opportunity to do live question and answer with John Michael. So you'll also have an opportunity for questions at that time. So with that, I'm going to share this video.
welcome to the Shelby Bottoms Nature Center. My name is John Michael Cassidy. I'm the manager at the Nature Center. This land was first purchased in the late 90s, opened to the public in 1997. The whole entire greenway and protected area is about 1,000 acres with about 7 miles of paved paths, 6 miles of natural paths. And the Nature Center that you see behind us is based off a barge and has a theme of water, which many green features in the Nature Center and on the Nature Center's campus highlight. We are an Earthcraft certified facility. 3 of the other Nature Centers that opened around 2008 were also included in a governor's award for sustainable design. We offer programming in regards to environmental education, projects with local scouts, local schools, and local research projects. And we offer amenities on campus, such as organic gardening, beehives, and other means to enjoy this natural area. We're located in a floodplain next to the Cumberland River in what was originally bottomland forest. Its most recent history, I would say, was former ag land, and there was a couple portions that had heads of cattle. Our hopes are it will transition back to bottomland forests over time, and we will stop at a couple other highlighted areas that we manage for mixed meadows, grasslands, and wildflower areas. All right, if you guys are ready, we're gonna head out on the bike tour. Okay, we're at our first stop, the River Overlook, which is about a quarter mile from the Nature Center, located along the Shelby Bottoms Greenway paved path. It's accessible and it's quite close to the Nature Center, and it has great opportunity for visibility on the river if you don't take some of the natural trails. You can hear some of the human impacts of the area across the river. On our side, it's mostly floodplain. Going into Shelby Hills and Shelby Park, which is a little bit different in topography. To your left, my right, is an old structure that's in the middle of the river that is a intake for the water treatment facility, which is just downstream, which started in 1889 as a pump station, and it pumped water to the 8th Avenue Reservoir. Both places are still in working order today, and both places are the National Historic Registered places. Also, we like to talk a little bit about the Cumberland River, maybe some things that you could see, a source of recreation, a source of connection to other places in the city and to other greenways via kayaking, canoeing, so on and so forth, recreational opportunities. Some of the wildlife that we might see, even here with field trips, great blue herons, river otters, belted kingfishers, and also an array of migratory birds as well. Hello, we're at our next stop, which is what we call the Zigzag Bridge, or Beaver Wetlands. We're standing over a naturally occurring wetland in the park, which is aided by a boardwalk. Before our stop, we just saw 3 bald eagles, 1 adult male, so I have my binoculars out. Just checking on a few other things that kind of make this area unique. We wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship with wildlife and what we have managing our natural resources and for sources of recreation as well. We've partnered with the United States Department of Agriculture and their wildlife technicians to aid in what we would call beaver management. So we do have active beavers in the park in this area right here. We'll get some footage and highlight some areas, some trees that beavers have knocked down or chewed on and has created some habitat. A lot of things what we would ask students or a group is a dead tree actually dead, or can it provide somewhat of a habitat? And it can. There's wood ducks that we just saw before we walked up. There's egrets. There's all types of animals that are drawn to this wetland area. And speaking about our relationships with beavers and managing resources and hosting people to recreate, we have, if you've seen in the park, some mechanisms at some of their dams in the park that alleviate some of the flooding issues that are associated with beaver dams. However, as you see, that beautiful pipeline swallowtail fly right by. There's many unique species that you can see in the park, including buttonbush behind me, cardinal flower that we just saw, and it's quite an attractive place to visit. All right, we're at our next stop. This is the observation tower, which is also located on the 1 mile loop. We can see a little bit of the extent of this mixed managed meadow and grassland area. Just to my right, as you can hear those crows calling, is the Beaver Wetlands that we just came from the Zigzag Bridge area. Behind me to the left, your right, will be what's called Hidden Pond, also just off the 1 mile loop. There's a lot of nice seasonal wetlands in this backdrop here, and we manage it for grasslands, native grasslands, and wildflowers. It is full of bloom with boneset right now, and dogbane, and goldenrod is just starting to kind of pick up right now, but full of pollinators, full of birds, full of wildlife, a great place to see some open expanses. A little bit of contrast to where we were. We manage some meadows, and on the edge of the properties or just certain areas would be more bottom hardland or hardwood bottom forests, bottomland forests that would be more evident in this area or historical. All right, well, on to our next stop. We've arrived at our last stop, the Cumberland River Pedestrian Bridge. This is the first pedestrian bridge in Nashville. It joins East Nashville to Donaldson and Hermitage and is literally a bridge between two communities. It's part of the Stones River Greenway and Shelby Bottoms Greenway, which meets to make the Music City Bikeway. There's over 100 miles of greenways in Nashville. We encourage you to visit your local park and greenway. Please stop by the Shelby Bottoms Nature Center, check out a program, ask for a map, talk to a naturalist, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, John Michael, Parks, and again, Metro Nashville Network for that amazing footage. Thanks to all the plants and animals that let us capture your beauty. It really is an awesome place in our city. So if you haven't been out there, and if this doesn't, get you ready, I don't know what will. So that was amazing. And now we have the opportunity. We have John Michael, again, Shelby Bottoms Nature Center manager here with us to answer your questions. I saw some activity in the chat. So now is the time. Feel free. We have a small group, so feel free to just unmute yourself. If you'll introduce us, introduce your name and Metro Department if you want, and then ask away. Now's your chance. John Michael is a wealth of information. So who's going to be first?
I can kind of talk about some of the questions that were asked. Somebody was asking about the bald eagles, which we just happened to see that day, and we're kind of lucky. As we stopped at that Beaver Wetland area, or what we would call the Zigzag Bridge, which is close to the Nature Center on the 1 mile loop, we happened to see a few large birds, and sometimes if you watch or see eagles often, you can kind of see, one, their size, and two, I guess their practice of flapping their wings a little bit more than a vulture would, whereas a vulture might coast in the air a little bit more. An eagle will have to flap its wings because of its weight more. So we saw it from far away and ended up putting some binoculars on it, and there happened to be 3 that were visible, and then later. Jennifer and I we were up doing the last shot of on the Two Rivers Bridge going over towards Opryland or Donaldson and Hermitage, and we had one of the mature bald eagles fly by at maybe 50 feet. It was eye level, but it was at 50 feet in the air, which was pretty cool.
Hey, this is Dustin Shane with planning. If I'm trying to get into like identifying wildflowers and trees and stuff, do y'all have like guides for the species that I would find at Shelby Park, or do I just need to go buy like a general guide at the bookstore?
Yeah, guidebooks are always a plus. There's a lot of apps that we can recommend with that. We also have classes, whether it's Trees of Shelby Bottoms, which shout out to somebody designated or nominated, but the largest swamp white oak species in Tennessee was nominated and won in Shelby Bottoms, which is cool. But yes, we have classes. There's also guidebooks, apps. We use iNaturalist. There's a couple other apps that are free that kind of help distinguish what you might see. But also, you can always call and stop by, and we'll post things on social media of what's blooming or what to expect as well.
And I'll get some of those resources like iNaturalist and others from John Michael and send them out after the tour. So you have a list to start with. Good question.
Oh, what is it? I'll answer. Oh, sorry.
No, this is James from the library. Is there any programming for using iNaturalist or one of the other like capture and identify apps?
We've done a few, mostly closer towards what's called the City Nature Challenge, which iNaturalist puts on every year, and that's a global challenge to document citizen science, document species, whether it's in your backyard or at parks. And we do some training with that, like introduction, because there is a little bit of a learning curve. I'm looking at my phone now, same way with some of our birding apps. That can be quite intimidating, but if you can kind of skirt around, for instance, we use Merlin, which is a birding app often, and I'll bring like a Bluetooth speaker so I'm trying to work on a sound that I couldn't hear quite well. You can record it and it can help you, or like you could replay that call of that bird that you might have seen. But yes, we do some intro on the tech side. Yeah, we could do a collaboration with the library.
That's right. I'm trying to figure out what resources we already have, and I'm not seeing anything like immediately for iNaturalist. We do have like an ebook that covers Merlin.
And iNaturalist is a little bit, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Nothing against fifth graders. My niece is a fifth grader, but it is a little bit difficult to use. There's a little bit of GIS. There's a little bit of guessing, so on and so forth.
Cool. I do have another question.
Okay.
You're talking about getting the flora in Shelby Bottoms, close to what it might have been like without human intervention. Can you give like the not as smart as a fifth grader version for, the entire process and the goals?
Correct. Yeah. So I guess imagination would be one thing. So there's a couple places I would say that if you've been in the park or in certain areas in the park that might have some standing water of seasonal wetlands or large trees. Originally, it would have been mostly bottomland forests, so bottomland hardwood forests. So think different types of elms, sycamores, maples. I'm looking out the window as well. Shellbark hickories, which are fairly common. Swamp white oaks, bur oaks, which you'll see along Davidson. If anybody sees those large acorns that are dropped in the fall, are indicative of bottomland forests. Are you grabbing a bur oak acorn? I have one out
Yes.
in, seriously? I have one out in the nature center. Bur oaks are they're called mossy oaks as well. They're the largest acorn in our region, and some of them can get it literally as big as your fist. That's why I keep putting my fist up. And then, so a lot of wetland sedges and grasses, open meadows would have been more on edges of fields. So we try to manage some open areas for habitat, attracting different wildlife and pollinators and giving them some resources, but also visuals for people as well. But in its recent history, I sent Jennifer a photo, an aerial photo from 1993, kind of where the pedestrian bridge was planned near Cooper Creek, which is at the north end of the park. And it is very much open fields, including the old Cornelius Ford Airfield as well. Some of the wetter places that could not be farmed or were a little bit too wet, which was nice for us that those were kept as in communal. Some of those wooded areas were kept, that they weren't cleared too recently, and also that they couldn't be farmed, were left alone. So it wasn't all open fields. Think more like Bell's Bend. Bell's Bend was very ag, a little bit younger than our park, but they are kind of on that path too of managing some open areas and wetlands, and also some bottomland. They have a little more upland habitat. Hopefully that answered. Yeah, so the goal would be, when we are, thank you. The goal would be, so if you see that wooded corridor right there to the right, that would be Cooper Creek. And then the pond is Old Farm Pond. You can kind of see a bunch of structures, including the radio tower upper right, which is the airfield, and then you can see the runway. But you can see it was heavily corn, sorghum, and there was some cattle on a couple of the portions. But luckily, a lot of the very wet areas were quite difficult to farm or to dredge. So that was kind of a benefit for us. So now with that, you have a lot of issues with invasives as well. Anywhere that you're going to disturb an area, build a greenway, bring in livestock. Now, some of the livestock are still there at the airfield, which if you've ever been on the north side of park, so kind of what we were just looking at by Cooper Creek and the airfield, there is a grandfathered contract in that his name's Mr. Reed. We call him the farmer to the public, that the farmer cuts and maintains some of those open grass areas. And then he has some cattle near Old Farm Pond, which is one of the best birding spots. A lot of the birders will come bird there, particularly in the winter for waterfowl and stopovers and flybys. But the livestock are quite an assistance for anything that grows. That means natural and unnatural, but particularly with invasives. So we've had, if you are familiar with Stones River Bend, Lytle Farm, Ravenwood Park, so along Stones River, literally where the Stones River and Cumberland River meet, cattle and horses were removed from that park, and luckily Nature Conservancy got involved with the management of those lands as well, because once the cattle were removed, a lot of the invasives were undisturbed without management issues, or measures, whether it be fire, which is not going to happen next to the airport, or chemical usage, or rotating fields and cutting them. That was a long answer, and I didn't even answer that. So the goal, say, once we are long gone and past, would be a hopeful return to hardwood bottomland forest. So think like Radnor. Radnor doesn't have a lot of, they've had a lot of pulls or projects to rid their area of natural or invasive species, and their canopy is really secure. So that would be a hope for us. So there would be less sun filtering down towards places that are trying to all compete for each other.
I know we have at least one avid biker. Brian, I'm looking at you. Brian, you got any questions around biking, or anybody? John Michael got any
I really don't. I mean, we do a lot of greenway riding up here in Murfreesboro, and I'm just thinking that what I've seen reminds me a lot of Stones River and things like that. So, again, I haven't been to Shelby in years because I'm up here in Murfreesboro now, and used to go there a lot when I was a kid, a whole lot when I was a kid.
Right. Yeah. The historic side. So it's kind of neat where we stopped on the first pedestrian bridge, Cumberland River Pedestrian Bridge, which connects two rivers. So from the Nature Center all the way to Percy Priest Lake Dam is about 11.2 miles, all pedestrian only. And we like to distinguish the difference of elevation. The bottoms is quite flat, and then you go over the bridge and it becomes much more hilly and challenging at times. Yeah, and I'll touch on the vegetation question that was asked in the chat. Someone was asking if it was duckweed or some type of other aquatic vegetation. There is some duckweed in there. There's also a type of aquatic species called Carolina mosquito fern. And if anybody is from the area or saw it on the news a couple years ago, WPLN does some natural elements to their stories. They also did a story. At times it can turn pink or red. So, and that depends on certain types of variables or factors, light, temperature, sunlight, a number of other things, oxygen. It's totally natural, but it basically, that wetland that we were in, that we stopped in, you saw a couple of those frogs, which is mostly green frogs at the time, basically turned like a deep fuchsia, like a dark pink, and people lost their minds here because they wanted to get pictures with it. And just like the California poppies out west, it's like, hey, enjoy it from a distance. You don't have to wade out into it and have your video shoot in the field and cut flowers or whatnot. So
we probably have time for one or two more questions. So if you have any questions, feel free. John Michael has all the answers.
Well, thank you for that on the mosquito fern. I had totally forgotten about these pictures. They look great.
Yeah. If you're Googling Carolina mosquito fern or Shelby Bottoms wetlands, and I did kind of talk about the beavers. We do have a lot of beavers in the park, in bottomland habitat. If you look at some of the maps, there's some old stories of the Beaver Woods, and locals talked about walking across dams. And it's definitely like it's not a versus, it's a cohesion. Like we have to live together with them. On the back of my computer, there's a sign that says Beavers 10, Shelby Bottoms 0, because they're always going to keep they're going to keep working. And we do have a couple mechanisms to kind of aid, whether it's called beaver deceivers or extending our boardwalk so we can have more water, because they create such a cool habitat and bring in a lot of other animals as well. But if you're interested in potentially seeing some, we could kind of point out some places. And does anybody know when beavers are most active, when you would most likely see them? Day or night?
Day.
So that, yeah, they're mostly nocturnal, but just at dusk is a great time to see them. And you can sneak up to some of the ponds. And a lot of times when it's almost dark, sometimes you can see silhouettes, but remember they use that tail for a sign to splash, which in the dead of night or when it's quite silent is quite shocking and fun.
One question, John Michael, as far as, the video ended with a shot of kind of the rules of the Greenway and the trail rules and that. And as far as enforcement and things like that, is it all parks, park staff? Is there parks police, or how does that work as far as, just the safety, I guess, within the park and Greenway, and who's working on that?
Yeah, so we try to Parks Administration, Greenways, any of the nonprofits that assist, talk about behavior and kind of collective ownership of that, being respectful to others, kind of like back to the basics. Enforcement, so we're not commissioned. Luckily, we don't have to. I don't carry a gun. Like state park ranger, I don't write tickets, things like that, which is nice. Usually, when we enforce anything, it's usually by asking, and that includes with drones. Drones can be an issue, particularly at green spaces. And also, like, for instance, at the end of the Greenway, it's near a dam, which can be more of like a domestic terrorism issue. Here, railroad, trestle bridge goes across Cumberland, large water treatment facility. And for us, it's more, it's an annoyance to people and potentially to wildlife. So, but enforcement, we do have a section of Metro National Park Police Department that is Parks Police specific, and they have calls if needed. Usually, it's kind of who's in the area, or they're called as needed. But a lot of times, it's I think user behavior, as in picking up, dog poop, giving a signal if you're passing somebody, being nice to somebody that has a kid or a dog. And then if you are that person with those other issues, that you're taking people into consideration as well.
Great. Well, we're gonna wrap up our Q&A. Thank you so much. Great questions, great answers. And we are going to move into our quiz. So I hope that you are paying attention to the video, because now's your chance to show your knowledge. Okay, I've put in the chat here how we're going to do this. So what you need to do is open a browser. It can either be a new tab on your computer or on your phone, and go to menti.com. And then I'm going to show you a code in just a second. You're going to make a nickname, and we are going to do this quiz. So let me share with y'all. Okay. So you want to go to menti.com and enter this code 92726471, and it's quiz time. You'll choose an avatar and a nickname, and we'll gather all our players together, and we'll do our quiz. Is everybody finding that okay? Menti.com, and then you'll enter 92726471. There we go. Woohoo! All right. 20 more seconds and we'll get started. Join now or forever hold your peace. All right, your answer, you guys are going to get points for being both quick and correct. And what's at stake here, you might be wondering? Well, socket swag. So we got t-shirts that are super soft and made of organic cotton. We got water bottles. We got canvas totes. We got stickers, coloring books. We got all the stuff. So the winner will get a socket. Oh, see, that's getting more people involved. Good. The winner will receive a socket swag bag. So get excited. And we're going to get started. All right, remember, quick and accurate. Shelby Bottoms Nature Center has all of the following except, this is the Nature Center. Ooh, yeah, this was a tricky one. Okay, the correct answer is that Shelby Bottoms Nature Center does not have LEED certification. It has Earthcraft certification. This was tricky. Sorry, guys. Most of our city facilities that are sustainable, high performance building have LEED certification, but several of our nature centers, as John Michael mentioned, have Earthcraft certification. It does have a green roof. If you saw that aerial drone shot, it's got really cool vegetation up on the roof, and they do have beehives. And John Michael, y'all do collect the honey, don't you? And actually have some there inside the nature center.
Yes, yeah, some's for sale, and there's beehives at Cornelia Fort Trailhead as well.
All right. Okay, you still have a chance to redeem yourself, guys. We got 5 questions here, so let's give it a shot. Question number 2, quick and accurate. Wildlife commonly seen in Shelby Park and Bottoms include and 3, 2, 1. Correct! All of the above. Again, a little bit tricky, but that's right. I mean, and more. This was all the choices I could put on this question, but as you saw, I mean, it's just an abundance of different wildlife. It's an amazing place to go watching. All right, question 3. The speed limit for bikes on the Greenway is...
I hit the wrong one.
Oh no! Fast and accurate, James, and
Control
accurate.
Z.
Yeah. Undo. 3, 2, 1. 15, correct. Very good. So yeah, 15 is the speed limit for folks, whether walking, running, if you're a fast walker or runner, or biking on the Greenway. Very good. Okay, we still have 2 more questions. There's still time to redeem yourself, folks, if you've gotten any wrong. How many miles approximately of paved greenway exist in Nashville? Very good. Yes, it is 100, about 100 miles of greenway. So, and that doesn't include the primitive paths. That's just the paved greenway. So there's a lot to enjoy if you're a biker, a skater, a walker, whatever. Lots of places to roll and walk throughout Nashville. All right, okay, let's see who's in the lead. This is our leaderboard. So let's see who is in the lead. Ooh, curry time. Curry time is just barely edging out Randy. Okay, I think this is going to come down to a curry time versus Randy battle. We have 1 question left, so let's see what happens. Question 5, here we go. Shelby Bottoms was used as recently as the 1990s for agriculture and cattle. Yay, that's right. Yep. Ag land, cattle land, as recently as I think you might have said 1990, early 1990s. So, yep. Okay, let's see who our big winner is. Oh yeah, curry time. Congratulations. Great job, curry time. Whoever you are, if you would like to reveal your identity. Is that Yoshi? Oh, awesome. Congrats,
Oh, we love
Yoshi.
curry.
Yes. I've actually won once before, so I can defer to the second place winner. I have my socket bottle.
Oh, that's nice. Randy, were you second? Oh, who was second? Randy? James? Oh, James. All right. Okay. Very kind, Yoshi. Okay, James, you got an exciting package coming your way. Okay, great. Good job, guys. Fun testing that knowledge, and you can pass it along. So that is going to wrap up our tour. I have a few housekeeping things. First of all, I want to give a big thank you again to John Michael and the Parks Department for taking us on this awesome tour. Amazing. Yes. Thank you, John Michael. I'm also going to put in the chat here some different resources for you all. So we have a survey, and that's the link, that forms link. If you could take the survey, help us out, let us know what you liked and what we can improve for future tours, that would be great. Also this year, we have something new and different, which is all of us have an office, whether that's at home or in a building. And we're doing a little project to try to see how we can make our workspaces more green, more efficient, more sustainable. So this link takes you to a 2-page front and back form where you can do a sustainability audit of your workspace. It has a few different categories like energy, water, food, transportation, and you can just kind of do a quick assessment of whether your workspace is sustainable and whether there's opportunities to improve. If there are opportunities, we would love to partner with you and see if we can assist you in greening your space. So please do that if you'd like to think about that and take a look, and I'd love to help you along in that journey. And then finally, we do have more tours, and we would love to see not only you, but also your colleagues to join us. We have 3 more virtual tours and 2 more in-person tours. We have our Frankie Pierce Park walking tour coming up next week, a cemetery walking tour the following week, and then tours of our a virtual tour of our Fulton campus green infrastructure, our stormwater control measures, a virtual tour of our Metro Nashville Police Department Crime Lab, and another virtual tour that I can't think of at the moment. So lots coming up. You can check it all out at socket.nashville.gov/connect. And again, thank you so much for participating today. Spread the word, and we appreciate you. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya. Thank you.